let's move forward now and welcome Ms. Zoo Harris, who is the project director at World Free Zone Organization. We will be having an interview session with her and it will be related to economic outlook, markets and investment opportunities in free zones. So I would like to invite Mr. Ronak Shah for starting the interview session with Ms. Harris. Mr. Ronak, the stage is yours.
Hello and very warm welcome to all the participants. So today we are having Ms. Zoe Harris and she will be there for this interview session delivering on the free economic zones. What are the benefits in those zones? So I would like to welcome Ms. Zoe Harris on the board, wherein we will be moving ahead by having a formal introduction coming from your end. Let us know about Zoe Harris from herself and what are the benefits and some more details about free economic zones. So Ms. Zoe Harris, please go ahead with your introduction.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Welcome everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be part of the Auto Digi Expo 2021. So greetings from Dubai. My name is Zoe Harris. I am based in Dubai. I am a project director with World Free Zones Organization, responsible for the advisory services. Besides, I am the managing director of Impact Zones, which is a boutique advisory firm specializing in special economic zones advisory based in Amsterdam and in Dubai. Today, we're going to be speaking about how special economic zones are supportive of the automotive industry, and especially in these times of particular dynamics and challenges which we are facing worldwide, which I'd like to move into shortly. So looking at the automotive industry, we'd like to first take a look at the trends and the challenges. Furthermore, we'd like to speak about the zones and what the zones can offer to benefit the industry, and so the advantages of locating in the zones and where it would make sense to locate your automotive operations within the supply chain into a special economic zone. So currently, the automotive industry is facing challenges in terms of supply chain disruptions, like most industries. So there's a sharp decrease of demand, but also there's supply chain disruption. So first of all, we're facing a challenge regarding sourcing. Where are we sourcing from and how can we obtain the products and the raw materials or the spare parts which we need to produce? Second of all, we're facing the challenge of labor. There's been a high number of absenteeism, so it's been hard for the industry to run at the capacity which is needed to match demand. Furthermore, we've seen a sharp decrease in terms of demand in fleets. So the whole demand structure of the automotive industry has changed. So on the one hand, we see a decrease in demand for new cars, especially being caused by the fleets, the decrease in fleets. So people are working from home, they're not commuting. On the other hand, there's no tourism or decreased tourism, resulting in car rental companies like Everson Hertz ordering less cars or purchasing less cars. And furthermore, we see a decrease in consumer purchases, which is picking up now in 2021. So we're seeing an increase of consumer demand for cars. And furthermore, we see a sharp increase in the demand for second-hand cars. So consumers usually utilizing public transportation are now preferring to buy a second-hand car to not have to take public transport during these times of COVID, to reduce the risk of being affected by COVID. So these are general trends which we are seeing. We are looking at a global recovery of 9% in 2021. So there is, after a sharp decline, we are facing a growth, but we are not expecting demand and production levels to be back to the level where it was pre-COVID until 2024 on a global level. The sharpest growth, which we are expecting in 2021, will be from Europe. Furthermore, what we are seeing is that, so besides the sourcing, the focus on sourcing, we see an increased need for flexibility. So flexibility in terms of manufacturing, multi-country sourcing, so moving away from single country sourcing. So that's diversifying the supply chain, building resilience within the supply chain, and also reviewing channels. What we've also seen is the B2C market that we are doing increased home deliveries, which are very costly, but demand is there to have home deliveries. So also in terms of logistics, the landscape has changed. What is another trend is the need for training. So different production methodology. So we're moving away from traditional forms of training. So first of all, we're looking how to attract talent to the automotive industry for all aspects of the supply chain. Second of all, how are we training our laborers, our workers within the industry on all different levels? And we're moving away from traditional education, colleges, universities, technical, but also looking at different forms of training, accommodating the new context within we are operating. So we need to think more out of the box, what new skills are needed. We're also experiencing Industry 4.0, in which many procedures are being automated if we're looking at manufacturing. So what human skills are required to enhance these automated skills or automated functions within the industry, and furthermore, how to retain talent. This is a huge challenge because you can attract talent and develop their skills, but how are you going to keep these people within your company, within your industry to further grow the industry? So nurturing talent. So these are the general trends. Furthermore, the main challenges which we are facing, which I've already mentioned, are COVID-19. So resulting in a complete change in demand as well as supply chain disruption. Disruption is the key word, I would say, for all industries right now. So we have to change the way we traditionally do things, and automotive is very much a traditional industry. And furthermore, one of the main challenges are climate change. So there's more from the market, more demand for sustainable ways of producing, as well as the products themselves. So we have to look at sustainable alternatives for traditional methodologies of production, but also materials used. Also looking at the electric car proposition, which is developing very fast. If you see Tesla, but also Volkswagen, BMW, I mean, all brands are moving into the electrical space. The largest challenge there is the battery, the battery as well as the lifespan of the battery. Also looking at hydrogen as an alternative fuel, biofuels. So there's a lot happening in that space. Also asking for different technological skill sets and technologies, collaborations with research institutes, with universities, technical institutions. And furthermore, in terms of circularity, so looking at developing more industrial symbiosis, which is the waste or the byproduct of one company or one function within the industry becomes a resource for another company. So looking at recycling, cleaner way of doing things. Mm-hmm. These are generally the trends we are looking at. And coming from the area of special economic zones, how can special economic zones provide a conducive environment for the automotive industry to be able to thrive in the new normal, in the new reality? And special economic zones are developing very fast, and they are being seen as key instruments for sustainable economic recovery worldwide. We're seeing in the last 5 years, there's been a surge of development of special economic zones globally. 1,000 new zones have been developed. In total, we look at over 2,300 zones, which we currently have, mainly being represented in Asia, but more and more growing exponentially in the Middle East. For instance, the UAE already is host to 47 special economic zones, which are mainly sector focused. We see our neighbors here, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, launching 14 new zones in 2021. Furthermore, Africa is very much a continent to look at in terms of special economic zones development. For instance, in sub-Saharan Africa, there are many developments in terms of zone development, also focused at the automotive industry on the East Coast. The zones are, the special economic zones can either be sector focused, export focused. They provide an environment which is attractive for companies because, first of all, they are located in logistical, strategically locations. So the logistic hubs. So in terms of sourcing and supplying, you're in a key strategic area. So securing supply chains, and so shortening supply times, transport times, shipping times, as well as also being in a safe environment. So not losing time over security issues, and also the ease of doing business. So documentations, alignment with customs is usually much faster. So we're going to be able to speed up our supply chain, as well as also benefiting from tax incentives. So there's within the zones, we have favorable tax regimes in terms of corporate income tax, import duty deferral. Also, the zones provide the facilities which we need, so warehousing, logistics facilities, so the correct infrastructure to be conducive to whatever operations are happening in the zone, whether that's from manufacturing, light manufacturing, heavy manufacturing, assembly, to warehousing. And furthermore, also the zones are supportive to the companies located in the zone in attracting talent, and also human capital development, so providing training and capacity building and collaborations with local technical institutions, colleges and universities. So also take care of supporting the full operational aspects of the company, so not just focusing on tax benefits, and also making sure that all the other infrastructure is in place.
Yeah, so just one quick question that just popped out in my mind while you were mentioning about some details in your clarifications to the introduction part. So now you mentioned about various things, various aspects over here. Particularly, we would like to understand more about the automotive sector, because what is there for the companies which are there, they would like to understand more coming from the automotive industry. So if you could just brief us about what is going to be there, which zones, which areas will be much more beneficial for having the businesses to be done in those particular zones. I guess the companies would be having much more interest to grab those opportunities coming from those zones. So if you could just clarification from your end on those points.
Good question, thank you. So if we're looking at which zones would be most suitable, we see automotive zones across the globe. So what we are seeing also in terms of supply chain trends is nearshoring, reshoring. So production is being brought closer back to the market. So either close to the sourcing area or also closer to where the customer base is, so the supply market. So in the case of Europe, being the fastest, facing the fastest economic growth or recovery of the automotive industry, we see a fast growth of the automotive industry in Northern Africa, and namely in Morocco. So Morocco being host to, for instance, Renault, being French speaking, which makes sense. And Morocco offers facilities supportive, well, geared towards the automotive industry in Tanga Met zones, which are located in the north of Morocco, easily being able to supply the European markets. So this is an example of where we see a surge in companies locating in this particular special economic zone. So also bringing operations back from the Far East, back closer to Europe, into North Africa, into Morocco, into their zones. We see the same happening in Mexico. Mexico is a large producer of cars for the Northern American market, as well as for Latin America. And there we see also a surge in development of special economic zones. The same goes for India, supplying the sub-Indian continent, as well as other areas in Asia. So we also see, because of the supply chain disruptions with China, where there was traditionally China was an important part of the supply chain. This is all moving around, so bringing production closer to home in terms of regionalization and localization.
Yeah, so that's really great. So what I can understand from the things that you have mentioned, that there are free zones all over the globe and mostly in each and every continent. So the companies can grab the opportunities, come up, explore more over there, have their subsidiaries, warehouses, or even their kind of a office being registered, where they can get the benefits of having a free zone office related to expanding their business in those respective regions. So it's very great to have this kind of thing where you can have an undisrupted supply chain being there. So that's really great. I think so. This is the opportunity where we can have the things of the companies being expanding their wings on the globe by having various subsidiaries in different locations.
Absolutely. So building supply chain resilience. So first of all, meeting demand, and second of all, securing that we are securing our supply chain in terms of sourcing as well as human capital.
Yes, that's really great. So as you mentioned, there are various free zones. Yes, we got to understand where the free zones are and at which area. But now the major question comes, what I want to get a clarification on is, what are the benefits that companies can gain from this? Or is there some incentive schemes being provided? Is there something which the companies can have from the free zones for having a kind of a beneficiary thing where they can think about having their subsidiaries over there? So if you could throw a light on the benefits that the companies will have if they come in these free zones, it will be very much helpful.
So typical benefits of the free zones would be, first of all, tax benefits. So it will be more competitive for the companies to produce in the zones in terms of import duties. So exemptions from tariffs, which will be different per zone, per jurisdiction, as well as favorable rules of origin, so certificate of origin. There are also different rules per zones. We can benefit from the combination of being located in the zone, so having the tax benefits, as well as looking at free trade agreements which are in place. So looking at the full supply chain and benefiting from the combination of the zone and the free trade agreement. Furthermore, we have favorable labor conditions. So usually we will receive support in terms of training our staff, developing skills within the zone, so governmental support from the host country. The benefits are usually not limited to just the zone, but also to the host country hosting the zone and the company located in the zone, because the country will benefit from the company locating in the zone because of skills and knowledge transfer. So the governments will usually be very supportive in terms of collaborations and sometimes also financial support with regards to supporting training programs, sometimes also together with depending on the country and the level of development, sometimes also with development finance institutions. So you will be able to tap into those financial channels as well. In terms of capacity building, there's a lot of funding available for that right now, and more coming from the World Bank, Islamic Development Bank, African Development Bank. These are just examples. The benefits furthermore are safety and security. So there will be supply chain transparency. As a company, you can enhance your ESG profile, which will also be favorable for demand for your products, because consumers are being more and more critical about transparency of the supply chain, where your product came from. So this will also enhance the ESG profile, so the sustainability profile. Furthermore, we're going to benefit from faster sourcing times and faster delivery times because of alignment with customs documentations. We're seeing a high level of digitalization of the special economic zones. So also looking at digitalization of the customs documentation, also allowing for a quicker procedures. At the World Free Zones Organization, we have just launched a special economic zone certification program called Safe Zones. So zones can now be certified through us, in which we've adopted principles of the OECD, in which we are supporting safe zones, safe in terms of not fighting illicit trade, making sure that workers are safe in the zone. Companies are providing a complete transparency in terms of their supply chain. And this will also enhance the popularity of the company, which they can also use as a marketing branding tool to attract more consumers and companies to buy their cars. So it can be used as a tool of competitiveness. So both for the zone as well as for the companies located in the zone. Furthermore, the zones are also promoting trade in between of the zones. So globally, establishing partnerships between various zones, also making sure that trade flows more swiftly between the zones, allowing them to have a more powerful lobby with governments, ensuring that there's no obstacles within the trade flows between these regions and the zones. So very much a trade facilitation role the zones take on. And therefore, we've also developed a digital platform called Omnia B2B, which has been developed by World Free Zones Organization as our proprietary B2B global trade facilitation and promotion tool. So promoting trade between companies within the special economic zones. So this will all contribute to stronger supply chains and building resilience and enhancing the performance of the companies located in the zones.
Yeah, so the points that you mentioned related to the benefits and the things that the companies could have by having their subsidiaries in those free zones will be very much beneficial for them. And I clearly see that the company should put their hands in this, grab the opportunity by having a kind of new locations on the global platform, by having yourself in these free zones. And yes, as Zoe mentioned about, there are various things and how you can get touch with them. So one of them is the B2B tool that they have mentioned. You can get in touch with the respective region heads through that B2B tools to understand more about that free zones. So that's going to be very much pretty impressive thing and an interactive way to have all the things in place where you can understand more about those free zones and have your footprint over there.
Absolutely. So the zones are geared towards adding more value and reducing costs. So by locating in a zone, you're going to increase your efficiencies.
Okay, so I see that this is like a new thing that can be done. And now a kind of a final question for you, Zoe. I've seen that there are things coming up on a positive curve at the moment after the COVID situation. So what's your thought on this? So how do you find after the COVID situation in the automotive sector? What is your view on it?
Well, what we are seeing is a slow recovery. So moving from a negative growth last year into a positive growth this year. But as mentioned, the level of production is not going to come back until the prediction is 2024. Furthermore, the way cars are going to be produced is going to change for good because the supply chain landscape has changed. The way demand has changed, so the structure of the demand has changed. There's going to be even more demand for electric cars. There's going to be tourism is going to take a very slow recovery. So also the demand for rental cars is still going to be low. And we can ask ourselves, is it ever going to come back to the level of where it was before COVID? It's the same as with the way people work. So in terms of personal vehicles, the way we used to work and commute, we're looking more at a hybrid way of working. So going from a total lockdown, people working from home and not commuting at all during the lockdown, we're going to see a slight recovery here, but it's highly likely that people are going to go into a hybrid form, the new way of working, which is going to be working partially from home, partially at the office. And the same goes for meetings. If you usually have face-to-face meetings with clients and with suppliers and you're out of the office, it's more and more accepted now to host meetings through Zoom or virtually. So in this sense, there's going to be less movement of people. So there's going to be less driving around, less air travel, less train travel. So demand is going to remain reduced, in my opinion. On the other hand, we have the industrial vehicles. E-commerce has grown exponentially. So there's more demand for trucks, for larger vehicles. So vehicles, the demand from logistics sector is much higher. So we're going to see less consumer cars being built, more trucks, more delivery cars, smaller trucks, larger trucks being built. Furthermore, we're going to see much cleaner cars being built. So the demand for e-cars is going to continue rising. So this is very interesting. So we're going to see, I'd expect more of a higher value, a rise in high value cars, and probably the low cost cars will suffer, or the mid-class cars will suffer a bit more. And so there's going to be more focus on durability. So this is also going to decrease demand, because looking at sustainability, we're also looking at durability of the cars. So there will be less need for replacement of the car. And also what we see now is an increase in the demand for secondhand cars. So the used car market has taken a boost or has been boosted. Yeah, in those terms, I think there's quite a shift in the whole global landscape, and so it's going to be less volume, higher value. So in terms of total industry value, hopefully the value add will outweigh the decreased demand. And the smarter way in which we are doing things, there will always be a need for mobility and connectivity. So the industry will definitely stay alive. And we will also see a demand. Well, now it's growing in Europe, but I think also Africa is a very interesting continent to watch out, because this, with the new free trade agreement on the African continent, trade is being promoted between the African countries. There's going to be much more movement and trade happening within Africa, also increasing the demand for cars. So the automotive industry should definitely keep an eye on the African continent as a potentially very fast-growing market.
Rightly said. So there are various free zones, what I can understand. So not leaving behind any of the continent, any of the regions. So we have free zones in America, then in African region, Middle East, Europe, and in the Asian region as well. So seems a pretty much wide range of free zones in each and every continent, and all their places where you can explore the things. So moreover, I would request the companies to grab these opportunities, get in touch with the free zones, and have your own subsidiaries in this region by spreading up your wings at the global platform, by putting out different locations on your basket. That's what I can say from this.
Exactly.
So,
Companies can always feel free to reach out to us, as we have the full landscape of the special economic zones, free zones worldwide. We're happy to advise accordingly.
cool. So, Ms. Zoe, that was pretty much an informative session what we had. Got to understand more about the free zones, and yes, as we are working together always, Crescendo Worldwide is always going to be there in terms of supporting the companies along with you with the free economic zones, by supporting the companies along the world where they can have their business and things to be established. So thank you very much, Ms. Zoe, for sparing your time and putting your thoughts over here.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for this this opportunity to speak about special economic zones and how they can benefit the automotive industry.
Okay, so that was really an informative session which we had with you. Looking forward for such many sessions and a very long-term association with you, which we are having always, your support coming up on a regular basis. It's been pleasure that Crescendo Worldwide and the Free Economic Zone has been working together from a very long time in regards to support the companies for having a lot of things to be done. So thank you very much, Zoe, for sparing your time. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much too. Have a great day. It was my pleasure, and looking forward to speaking to you again. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Crescendo for offering us this opportunity to speak about how companies can benefit from being located in special economic zones and how they can support the automotive industry and the recovery moving forward. And I would like to thank all participants of this important event, the AutoDigi Expo 2021. I hope we provided you with the insights which are relevant to you and your industry or your subsector of the automotive industry which you are working in, and wishing you all the best in these challenging times. And we look forward to joining forces on moving forward to creating a new, sustainable and beneficial environment for us all in which the automotive industry can thrive.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Harris, for your time and sharing the information from your end which is of immense importance in terms of economic development and investment opportunities in free zones as well. Thank you for your time, Mr. Shah, as well. Now, we will be moving ahead for our next session for the day, which will be started in a while.